Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Level-Headed News. This is your host, Brenda. I have in this episode for you, and all the URLs are in the description of the video for your convenience. For Liberty Riders, and it says, Trader Alert, just spent billions on a plan to sabotage Trump. Says Donald Trump has been working day and night to build a new healthcare system so we can end the Obamacare disaster before it destroys the country. That the Koch brothers have offered billions of dollars as a bounty to any Republican who votes no on the bill. For Prosperity and Freedom Partners announced late Wednesday night that the creation of a special fund to bribe House members who voted against the health care bill. So, that the Koch brothers have been leading the hashtag Never Trump movement. They have also been working for decades to tear the Republican Party apart. Liberals remain. Of course, the politicians directly, so instead they're offering to bankroll their next election campaign. Of siding with them is losing the presidency to the Democrats in 2020. Counting on all of you to get the word out and to show the world that we are tired of the Kochs trying to party with their billions. President now, and he has a plan. Deal with it. For his plan to be repeal, 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 not replace. It is what it is. The next one we have here is off of Western Journalism. It says Hannity questions ban judge Obama and drug use, and there's video in this. Following the issuance of temporary injunction against President Donald Trump, and conservatives across the country expressed outrage over allegations of judicial activism and overreach. Show on Wednesday, media personality Sean Hannity took aim at the U.S. District Court judge who delivered the ruling, Judge Derek Watson, claiming his close ties to former President Barack Obama were recusal. This judge who issued the travel ban ruling is an Obama law school classmate. He recused himself from the case. As Hannity continued to question the relationship between Watson and Obama, he went so far as to suggest the two may have done drugs together over the course of their relationship. Were they best friends in Hawaii? Part of a chum gang, smoking pot and hanging out and doing a little bit of weed and maybe even he asked, prompting outrage from some. While some have suggested Hannity's comments crossed the line, Obama's past drug use is no secret, and conversation discussed at lengthy throughout his presidency. In it, if you want to pull it up and see it, it says, in fact, the president himself was rather candid about his past use of drugs, and the Chum Gang discusses biographies was the nickname he and his pot-smoking friends gave themselves. Whether Judge Watson was a member of Obama's inner circle of friends, just how close him and Obama actually are. As far as connecting evidence, only points known for certain is that the two graduated from Harvard Law in 1991. Supreme Court nominee Judge Neil Gorsuch. Safe to say, however, that at least part of the speculation regarding Obama and Watson, after several media outlets reported Obama visited Hawaii just days before Watson issued his ruling. That with Watson in an attempt to influence his decision is unknown. There does not seem to be any concurrent evidence that Judge Watson ever engaged in drug use. Article. The next one I have here is off of Daily Caller, and it says, Aide says Tillerson could derail fight against Paris agreements. Former official Donald Trump transition team said Friday that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson could render a crippling blow against the Paris Agreement. Myron Abel, his transition team, suggested oil man and Trump's daughter Ivanka Trump are bound to stay in the Paris Agreement. The former real estate tycoon turned president made breaking away from the climate agreement a key component of his presidential campaign. Heads a climate policy program, Competitive Enterprise Institute, also believes Tillerson is part of the corrupt Washington, D.C. establishment that the president railed against during the election. May be from Texas, and he may have been CEO of Exxon, but he's part of the swamp, he told an audience at the Conservative Heartland Institute's climate conference. The climate analyst Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, and Tillerson, among others, represent the wealthy insider club the president once bemoaned. And I'm sorry to say that we've heard that the president's daughter and son-in-law report staying in Paris, that they really want to be identified as swamp creatures, and I'm not so, Abel continued. Tillerson has indicated he would support the Paris Agreement if Trump can manage to reduce some of the objectives former President Barack Obama agreed to last year. The former ExxonMobil CEO believes staying on conscientious climate deal could help Tillerson diplomatically. Department of State head is not the only Trump advisor signaling support for the Paris deal, which which aims to keep so-called global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. Representative Kevin Cramer, for one, said recently that he was impressed with White House advisors who believe the agreement is not necessarily dead on arrival. Cramer, a Republican, is one of Trump's top energy advisors. The State Department lacks the diplomacy of us being in it, he told reporters, referring to what the congressman sees as the Paris deal's primary advantage. Also warned that if it doesn't pull out of Paris, environmental groups like the Sierra Club and others, the pact as a cudgel to compel the EPA to keep Obama's so-called clean power plan. Expected to sign a pair of executive orders as soon as next week, rolling back several of his predecessor's environmental regulations. But backing out of the Paris Agreement might not be on the list of Obama-era experiments. The article is off of Breitbart. It says, Coulter to Trump. Get back to immigration, trade, infrastructure, building a wall. Not, we can get it to scroll up here. Come on. Hamster's being lazy. Not Paul Ryan's standard GOP corporate stuff. And there's video in this if you want to pull it up to see that. It says Wednesday on Fox News Channel's Tucker Carlson tonight, conservative commentator Ann Coulter. Trump we trust, e pluribus awesome, echoed her call urging President Donald Trump to get back on track on fulfilling his campaign promises and spend less time on Paul Ryan's. They seem to be Paul Ryan's priorities and also just the standard GOP corporate stuff, Coulter said. What made Donald Trump stand apart from the crowd and apart from the crowd from every presidential campaign candidate for over 20 years was immigration, trade, infrastructure, and building a wall. Obviously, that was very, very popular. A lot of people listen to all this time. Look, I like tax cuts. I love to have my taxes cut. 50% of all people, they don't even say they don't even pay taxes. The problem now is jobs, and I will not hold the Emperor God responsible for this Obamacare light bill, but I am the last person in America who understands the. Sean Spicer was very good today, explaining to idiot reporters getting mandated coverage doesn't mean insurance companies won't cover it. It means Ann won't be required to pay for 15 services, more like 50 services that I have no interest in, she continued. Talking about Congress is going to give us these things. Congress can give us nothing. The free market can give us things. And they are coming up with these premiums. Who would be better to come up with a premium? Someone who's in business that needs to come up with good premiums to compete to get my business, and who has disease specialists and actuarial specialists, or politicians in Washington. The next one we have here is off Liberty Writers and says Tucker Carlson can't sleep after this NSA agent told him one thing that'll bury Obama last night. Trump is cheering. Holy crap, this is huge. This guy came on Tucker Carlson last night after spending 20 years at the NSA and spilled the beans on the entire organization. If we hadn't won this election, think about how bad this country would have been. Say, Agent Bill Biney had to say, and there's video on this if you want to pull it up and watch it. The article goes on and says the program that is being discussed went on for more than 2 years under Obama and was called Stellar Wind. Documents obtained by The Guardian, a federal judge would approve a bulk collection of metadata every 90 days. Ended in 2011, but the interview above throws that into question. From The Guardian, it says, eventually the NSA gained authority to analyze communication metadata associated with United States persons and persons believed to be in the United States, according to a 2007 Justice Department memo, which is marked secret. Let me ask you this. Why do we pay for people of this nation to get spied on? The next article that I have for you is off of BizPack Review. College Republican who supported student for outing anti-Trump professor becomes target of vicious harassment. From this guy several times here that got into it with that professor, but let's see how this reads. It says a conservative student at Orange Coast College has filed civil rights violation report after a knife was found lying near messages targeting him by name. Joshua Recalde Martinez, the chairman emeritus of the OCC College Republicans, polarizing figure on campus as a vocal defender of Caleb O'Neill, the conservative student who was briefly suspended for recording calling Donald Trump's election an act of terrorism. Recalde Martinez told Campus Reform that he received a phone call from an OCC administrator on March the 13th informing him that graffiti and stickers were discovered on multiple buildings on campus, some of which specifically singled him out, saying, Docs Martinez and F. Joshua Martinez. It says, warning there's strong language in the photos below in this. They got pictures of the graffiti. It says the anonymous vandal or vandals also took aim at the OCC Young Republicans, writing OCC Young Republicans fascist and fascist. Recalde Martinez noted in a Facebook post that the perpetrators left a near one of the graffiti messages, but said he was most disturbed by their inability to correctly identify his group as the OCC College Republicans. I guess this, I don't know, is this a tweet? It's a message that he's typed up, and it doesn't identify as a tweet, so I don't know if this is off Facebook or where it's from, but it says, I just found an hour ago on Saturday, OCC, an unidentified individual graffitied messages targeted at me all across the campus on 5 different buildings. The campus police weren't able to identify the person. The act doesn't bother me. In fact, they said F. Josh Martinez and called me a fascist. All their graffiti doesn't, and almost all their graffiti doesn't bother me. The fact that they left Kershaw knife near one of the gratified areas doesn't bother me. What bothers me most is that they called me a young Republican and called my organization the OCC Young Republicans. How many times do I have to say it? We're the OCC College Republicans, not the fascist, about fastidious about it, but hey, you have to find a way to laugh at this stuff, he says. Coast College Public Safety conducted an investigation after being alerted to one of the graffiti messages by an administrator who also found a knife in close proximity to the scene, according to a police report obtained by Campus Reform. After discovering several more instances of vandalism, officers reviewed surveillance footage showing the damage being caused by a thin individual carrying a skateboard and wearing a black hoodie, black pants, and hat, but were unable to identify the perpetrator. The investigation has since been closed. I am afraid that OCC sought to hide the incident due to the recent incidents involved in at the college involving exposing a professor who went on a rant in class and protecting the student who filmed it. Recalde Martinez told Campus Reform, "I don't feel safe on campus, and family members are safe on campus either." Recalde Martinez contrasted this incident with one that occurred just a few days earlier on the same campus, in which a student who drew swastikas and wrote threatening messages on two vehicles were immediately arrested and charged with hate crime, despite the fact that it occurred at 1:30 in the morning. Once the culprit was apprehended, OCC President Dennis Harkins released an email denouncing the hate crime and offering assurance that the school had obtained a restraining order against the individual. And there is a copy letter that Harkins put out. It says, Recalde Martinez said he has received no such support from the administration, despite the fact that, according to state law, an intimidation by threat of violence because of political affiliation is defined as a civil rights violation. I am personally appalled by the fact my case was never reported as hate crime, even though in the state of California, by law. Recalde Martinez continued, I wasn't notified that the incident occurred until the case was already closed, and I'm also shocked that all evidence of the incident was destroyed by campus employees before the incident was reported to the Costa Mesa Police Department. Management of the case, the perpetrator remains at large, and the ability of the police to catch them is diminished by the destruction of evidence, which may have yielded things such as fingerprints, Recalde Martinez concluded. By these actions, Orange Coast College, they are unwilling to stand up for all students and protect them, especially if they are conservative. Of Marketing and Public Relations, Juan, however, told Campus Reform that the school's internal report does not provide the full story, explaining that the matter is now in the hands of the local police. Closed, it has been turned over to the Costa Mesa Police Department, he asserted, elaborating that OCC did not report the incident as a hate crime because the Costa Mesa Police, Orange County District Attorney, determines what a civil rights violation. Gutierrez also defended the school's response with respect to both removing the graffiti and listing the OCC as the official victim. Our policy is to document, take photos, and remove graffiti as soon as possible so that it does not inspire others to do the same, he stated. That this was a property crime since Orange Coast College buildings on campus were vandalized by the graffiti. It is up to the Costa Mesa PD and the OCDA to determine additional charges. Attorney and Republican National Committeeman offered a very different take on the situation, claiming that anti like the graffiti targeting Recalde Martinez typically inspire less intrepid response than do similar crimes targeting liberals. The left's hate crimes often promote false reports, and the real victims of the political season are overwhelmingly conservatives, he told Campus Reform. The latest target at Joshua Recalde Martinez spray painted at his college some 5 times with death threats. This is not merely a prank, Steele concluded gravely. This is real-life terrorism. And the final article that I have for you is off BizPac Review. It says, a great thing happened at the White House yesterday, but it was buried in the Obamacare chaos. As a Republican bill to replace Obamacare crashed and burned on Friday, something was widely ignored. President Donald Trump thanked Medal of Honor recipients for their sacrifice and service in an Oval Office ceremony. Your acts of valor inspired us, and they show us that there is always someone on watch to ensure a bright sunrise every morning, he told the 25 recipients of honor. The president quipped that he can say officially, "They are much braver than I." Was eclipsed by the spectacular failure of Republicans in the House to pass the bill to repeal and replace Obamacare. President Trump was much happier honoring the Medal of Honor recipients than he seemed to be when talking about the failed legislation. You have poured out your heart, your sweat, your tears like few others, and your blood, most importantly, your blood for the United States of America, the president said. We thank you very much. Thank you. You are the soul of our nation. A grateful republic salutes you. The honorees gave the president a book titled Portraits of Valor that contained the signatures of all 25 of the recipients, as well as 200 other Medal of Honor winners. That's all the news that I have for you this morning. If you like what I'm doing here, give it a thumbs up, share it on your social media so everybody gets to hear the news. To subscribe if you haven't done that, that way you'll stay informed. Have a great day.